So what I wanted to talk about today is what I really noticed working at a mental health retreat and in my one-on-one client work as well. Thanks, Scout. I got your thumbs up. I noticed that we've got a lot of people coming in who were CEOs, who were really powerful people, and they had everything, right? They had all the things, all the material things. They had a really good relationship that they thought they had, and then they lost a lot of that. And that's what got them into the mental health retreat. So it was like they missed the connection piece, and that's what sort of broke up their relationship. And then they also were working so hard that that was their identity. And they realized that work was not making them happy. And what they really wanted was deep connection. And I saw this time and time again at the mental health retreat that I worked at, because it was a high-end one where you need to pay a lot of money to go to it. So I had a variety of people there, but this is something, a pattern I noticed. And when they would do the work, the inner work, they started to realize how important connecting with themselves and then connecting others with others was for them. And they started to feel their feelings and realize how we can't avoid our feelings. So these are things that I've got up here. What are feelings? What are emotions? What are sensations? Like, we can all Google these. So I'm going to give you my perspective of this. And there's different ideas around this in psychology. I think they're still learning, because feelings are they're subjective. That's what I'm feeling. You can't experience that because I'm feeling it. So this is why feelings, emotions, and sensations can be a hard thing to express and talk about. Just make sure. Yep. So feelings, what are they? Generally, they're emotional expressions, and we feel the emotion first, or the physical sensation. So it's I'm hungry, I'm tired, I feel heavy, I feel numb. That's how you know what you're feeling. And then emotions are more of something's happened that's caused me to feel a certain way and bring up an emotion. So generally, we've got they do call them our basic emotions: happy, joy, anger, sad, feel, contempt, disgust, and surprise. But then if we go beyond that, we can feel fear at the same time as anger as well. And then that's how our emotions can be layered too. So what does suppression mean? What it means is something comes up in me, a thought, an experience, maybe I feel an emotion, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm tired, and I might dismiss it so I can get on with things. So I might minimize it, justify, push it away, deny it, so I can keep working, so I can get my jobs done. Or even if in other areas, it's so I can stay in the career that I'm in, the relationship I'm in, because if I have to really feel into what's happening for me, then I might break this fantasy that I have that I'm living by. And that's why feeling can also be pretty scary as well. So why do we do this? This is a learned behavior. When we were young, we learned from our caregivers, our parents, we learned how to feel our emotions. So if they dismissed us, minimized it, if we were punished for expressing our emotions, then what we learned was it was unsafe to express our emotions. So then we suppressed it, and we used different mechanisms to do that. We all have our own individual process of this. We can also distract ourselves, and that's a form of suppression as well. Okay, so our thoughts are not accurate. This is quite, I've been living by this, and this is quite interesting. Our thoughts are built up of like belief systems, conditioning, social conditioning, values of our parents and caregivers. So our thoughts are less accurate and our feelings and emotions are more accurate. And here's why. Our feelings and emotions feed into our thoughts, but our thoughts are created from our conditioning. So if you grew up in a hostile home, if you grew up with abuse, criticism, judgment, and all these things, your thoughts are going to be internalized versions of that. So what happens is our thoughts keep us from feeling our feelings because it's scary. So the thought would be like, no, you don't need to go there. You don't need to process that. You don't need to feel that. Just get on with it, push through, just, do something, distract yourself. So our thoughts will kind of tell us to steer away from our feelings, because sometimes our feelings, or many times, can be uncomfortable. And we as humans, we look at comfort over being uncomfortable. So this happens on a conscious and an consciously and unconsciously. So this is why it's important to know that you're not doing this on a conscious level. We don't choose to not feel our feelings. Sometimes it's happening sometimes also we've got repressed stuff too. So these are things that are in us that we don't even know are there. And that's where we can have autoimmune disease and other health symptoms when it's actually repressed trauma. Sometimes it can come from repressed trauma. When it's conscious, it's more when it's like, I know I'm angry and I'm going to push it away. I know I'm angry. I'm going to push it away by distracting myself, by minimizing my experience, by, sort of judging myself. Unconscious, it's more that I didn't know it was there. I didn't know I was actually behaving from that place. So it's bringing awareness to this place so you can move forward knowing, okay, that's where I've suppressed myself. So what are the consequences? Generally, suppression, what you'll find is you'll find reoccurring patterns, challenges, and problems in your life, and they will manifest as physical or mental health symptoms, conflict in your relationship. So it could be like often having conflict, a pattern of conflict, disconnection. So this can be disconnecting from people because you don't trust people, loneliness, emptiness, and addiction. These are signals that there's some suppression going on. There's something there that is not balanced and needs to be seen, heard, and understood. So what's the purpose of our feelings, emotions, fear, and sensations? The purpose of them, they're our compass, they're our navigation system. What they're there for is to help us identify our needs, our values, and our boundaries. And they help us thrive. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It is not easy to feel your feelings. However, is it worth it? Yes, because what will happen is you'll be healthier mentally, physically, spiritually. You'll be healthier in so many ways, and your relationships will deepen as well. So our thoughts are based on our core belief systems. And what happens is we'll have an emotional feeling come up, and if our thoughts will generally want to minimize or push it away if that's what we've learned in that, because it's not safe. So we really need to honor our emotional state. What I mean by that is you will have, say, if sadness comes up, we need to honor that and be like, oh, I'm sad, and be with that sadness. What can happen is we can also get stuck in it, and that's another area to sort of speak on. So how does our upbringing play a part in this? I'm going to give you 3 scenarios of an upbringing. I know there's a lot on there. Don't worry too much about the information. It's more prompts for me. But so let's say that you grew up in, and this might bring up some stuff for you too. I just want to acknowledge that. Let's say you grew up in a highly abusive environment. You will most likely have some repressed trauma, which means there's trauma there you don't even remember, because your mind and body are being protected from it. But what you'll start with is probably suppressed trauma. So it will start with symptoms like anger and sadness, depression, anxiety. Those are sort of where it will start. And as you work with a therapist and it's someone you feel safe with, and you go into the body, then the repressed stuff will probably come up as well. But generally, if you've had any sort of abuse, physical, sexual, emotional abuse that is quite severe, what you'll find is feeling your feelings is going to be super scary and feels unsafe. So it feels like too much. It will be really intense in your system. It will feel intense in your system, and your protector, your thoughts, will come in and be like, do not go there. It's not important. You don't need to relive it. You don't need to go there. So it doesn't mean that you need to relive it to express the emotions. You don't need to relive the trauma. What you do is you feel it. So as you talk about, say, yeah, I had a terrible upbringing, I was beaten, or yeah, maybe I was sexually abused. What you feel in your body when you even say that, that's where you can start with a therapist to explore the feelings that come up for you. You don't need to flood your system with the actual details of the trauma. And as you start, your body has flashbacks. So our actual being has flashbacks emotionally and imagery as well, to tell us, to signal to us that there's some healing there that needs to happen. So there's some signals around, you need to see me, hear me, and understand me. Generally, that's why we have them. Whereas that it can bring up intense emotions that we want to push away. So that's that one. Yeah, so to heal severe abuse, we really do need to follow our body and work with a professional, because it can flood our nervous system and we can dissociate, we can fall into depression, we can have a panic attack. So it's important to work with another person to help you regulate and they're trained to work with you in that space. Another scenario is that growing up with parents who, so the first scenario was more like growing up with parents who sort of didn't believe you or minimize your abuse and maybe completely neglected you as well. So were not there for you, didn't protect you. Now, the second scenario is parents that were really sort of about everything had to be good. So positive. Sadness and anger wasn't really sort of wanted. It was pushed away, dismissed. These are homes where caregivers are avoidant, and you grow up where things like anger or fear were kind of minimized. And so you learn that any expression will not be met. So your needs will not be met. And when you learn this, what happens is you start to numb your needs and your emotions as well, because it's not safe to feel and express. So often, if we are more avoidant, we have grown up with caregivers who are also avoidant, or they could actually be anxious too, but they have really made you push away your needs and emotional expression. It's common to have generally it's the father figure in these scenarios that I've noticed, but can be also the mother, but to have a father that's physically violent as well. And this also creates an even more of a suppression and a repression of your emotions, because what happens as a child, if you've grown up with a violent father, is that you become small. You become small and quiet, or you completely rebel. You can either go one or the other. You could become small and quiet for protection. So if I'm quiet and small, then I won't be seen or heard. So then I won't be abused. Generally, that's what happens. And so what we learn as adults is any sort of expression is not safe. So we hold it in and we keep it to ourselves or minimize it and feel like it's a weakness if we have emotions or express our needs. So in order to heal this, it's important to notice the shutdown we have in our body when we're around even conflict, or when we're around, even when we want to express something. Like it could be even with someone safe and you notice yourself going into a fear response because you want to say your opinion, or maybe have an opinion in a tense environment. So this is important that you do it in a safe environment and build confidence. This is why therapy is supportive in that environment, because your therapist can hold you in that. Whereas if you do it with someone that can't, they might be avoidant as well, or they might not be okay with emotional expression either because they grew up with similar belief systems. So the third thing is you may have grown up in a chaotic home where it was really loud. People were yelling, judging, anxious. This is what I grew up in. I grew up in an ethnic home where it was quite loud, and my parents were really passionate, but like also in conflict as well. And in order for me to be heard, I had to yell and sort of scream my way through to get my needs met, or be really aggressive. So I really needed to learn that. I see your heart there, Scout. Thank you. I needed to learn how to calm my nervous system, to ground, and to not get defensive. So parents that fought a lot, there was not much peace in the home, your needs and boundaries were not important or nurtured. So generally this is because your parents were so anxious or in their own survival mechanism that they couldn't see that you had any needs and didn't know how to nurture them. Also, our parents did the best that they could. I'm not dissing them. It's just the reality of what's happened. So often we can be quite anxious in this place. Our flight response can be really high as well. So we may either in conflict, we may either fight, have a really strong fight, or we might have a really strong flight where we get out, where like don't want a bar of it. In these environments, because our caregivers were anxious, they also be quite judgmental as well. And in order for us to heal this, we need to learn how to self-regulate and communicate in healthy ways. So often the suppression comes from always looking at other people to regulate us. And there's nothing wrong with this, because this is how you heal as well. To heal with other healthy people, we need humans. It's healthy to work with other humans. What happens is, though, we rely on them like it's life or death. So what we want to be able to do is have a healthy sense of self, my needs, my values, and how to self-regulate, as well as being able to connect with others too, and do it in healthy ways. So I don't completely rely on someone else for my regulation. When we rely completely on someone else for our regulation, we can find ourselves in abusive environments, because we are so we feel like we're going to die. That's what the nervous system feels like if we are single or alone, or we don't have someone in our lives. So here the healing is really in the self-regulating, feeling your emotions, because anger, underneath that generally there's sadness, underneath anxiety generally there's emotions underneath that. So slowing down and feeling is really important here. The ways people suppress, we do it in all sorts of ways. Many of you probably know how this is done. Keeping busy, being drawn to modalities that feel good too. I've noticed this very much in the spiritual world, that people choose modalities that align with this feel good, feeling grounded. And that's the thing about modalities, is there's so many of them. And it's really good to have ones that feel grounded, like breath work and ice baths and sound healing. There's some really incredible stuff there, and it grounds you. And we also need to, because our trauma is in relationship with other, we need to then heal the trauma in relationship with other. So it can't be done on your own. Breath work is on your own. Sound healing is on our own. Yoga's on our own. Those are all fantastic resources. But to heal trauma and to feel it, we really do need to do it in relation to another. And that might start with a therapist. It might start with a close friend that you feel safe with. It might start in a group that you feel safe with. Okay, so Wanting a quick fix. Also, we might be looking for, when we feel anxious, we want a quick fix to relieve the situation. Pushing away flashbacks because they are scary and intense and generally come up and have detail. So we do tend to push them away and distract ourselves from it. The flight response, so leaving before we can communicate with people. So anything that gives us a sense of relief, but it's short lived, is suppression. That's ways that we suppress. Yeah, addiction, workaholism, also justifying, minimizing, denying, pushing away. So those are all forms of the way that we do it. So as I said already, if the trauma is in relationship, we tend to need to heal it in relationship. And we need connection and community to thrive. I think our generation have realized this, that money alone, material things alone, are not helping us thrive. So how do we feel our feelings? We slow down. Now, there's a kicker here. Anyone who's been diagnosed with ADHD or who has had trauma growing up, slowing down can be excruciating, because what happens is our stuff comes up. What's the stuff? Generally uncomfortable feelings. Generally, that can be when we slow down. It can be when we have flashbacks. It can be when our body is signaling to us because we've slowed down and we no longer have distracted ourselves from our discomfort, from the signals. So slowing down might be a gradual thing. It could start with something like breathwork, yoga, walking, movement based slowing down. You can start there and then ease your way into meditation and things like that. But creating space to slow down. And Scout, I know that you had a really great question around this, which was, in such a fast-paced world, what is a practical way to feel your feelings? And that's a really great question. Often, though, what I say is, what is keeping you in that fast-paced world? Generally, there's something underneath that, and it's the discomfort that we feel and the unsafety that we feel if we slow down. So we've kind of make ourselves busy on an unconscious level too. It doesn't happen consciously all the time. And so what I would do is, on a practical level, is I'd book in. For me, I go to yoga, so I have that booked into my week. That's putting times where you can slow down with other people, or where it's easy for you, where there's maybe a bit of movement involved too. That might be the first step. Seek professional help. Notice what happens when you slow down. Just notice, even if you just slow down, you might be like, gee, I'm bored. This is crap. I just want to do stuff. I have so many things to do on my list. Just notice the thoughts, the sensations that come up. Notice what fight, flight, and freeze feels like in your body. Each one will feel different. And I have some resources on this. If you want to reach out, I can give you some stuff on this. But fight, you would know you're angry. You you'll get angry and you'll fight. Flight, you'll notice flight. You've got to get out in an anxious way. You'll be like, I'm out. I need to get out. I need to leave. And it'll be really anxious driven. Freeze will be, or fawn, or shut down. You could say there as well. That will feel more heavy, and it will feel like you're stuck with no option. And there will be despair and powerlessness in that. So notice when these come up for you, and it might come up when you slow down. You might get angry, you might have the flight response, or you might go into a freeze response. And this is why if you've had trauma, you haven't slowed down yet. Working with a professional that is relational. So as I said, if trauma has happened in a relationship, to feel safe again, to feel into your body, working with someone that you feel safe with is important. And identify your belief systems that are holding you back from feeling. So Scout, I would start with identifying what are the beliefs around keeping in that fast pace. Like what are the beliefs around slowing down? Like, why is it scary to slow down? And then here's a resource that I have. It can be really simple. So this is like a resource that's really simple. Just I'm activated, slow down, breathe, check into your body. People have this on their computers who work on computers a lot, or have it on their phone. A check-in, how to check into your body. Just checking in. What's the sensations? What are my emotions? Sometimes it's harder to tap into your emotions, but you can. It's easier to tap into sensations. You might feel something in your stomach, or you might feel something in your throat, or your shoulders might be tense, and you can. That's even checking into your body. And then you can ask yourself, what do I need? If you don't know what you need, it could be an indicator that you're in a bit of a shutdown response. Generally, our body naturally wants to heal. It will give you answers. It will help you heal, and it will give you signals. It's just that our mind gets in the way of it and what we've been conditioned to believe. I think that's it. Okay. Have we got any questions? Do you have any questions, James? You're welcome, Scout.
I actually really don't. I've been working pretty hard on everything you've pretty much spoken about. So a lot of what you've covered, I've become pretty aware of so far. So and been working pretty hard on it, especially with past traumas, been focusing like with Raya and just doing some trauma work and that as well. So it's been good. It's been helping me a lot.
What have you found has helped? So what's helped you feel your feelings and emotions?
Giving myself that space.
Great.
Yeah, holding space for myself. Breath work seems to be the best activator for me in allow myself to actually feel those traumas, feel that pain. I was pretty much the king of suppression, my whole life,
Right.
just pushing everything down. And it was only when you realize afterwards how much you actually did push down, and how it has affected your life and the way you function in general.
Yes. Yeah. And what have been the benefits of you not suppressing anymore?
A lot, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of weight off me. Just I won't say a spring in your step, but that suppression that you hold, here,
Yes.
in your stomach and in your lower body, it doesn't feel as heavy. I'm not gonna say it's gone, but it doesn't feel as heavy. And just being able to control and being aware of when these feelings are coming, instead of just automatically just going, well, there's a shit feeling, put it down, forget about it, worry about it later. You actually become more aware of it, and you find yourself processing it a bit quicker, recognizing it, and then saying, okay, well, yeah, I feel pretty pissed off about that, and just realizing, and then sort of moving past it, but you're not actually ignoring it or suppressing it anymore.
Right. And it's common. The common thing I hear is it's like a weight lifted off me.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess probably the biggest thing is it allows me to stay more present.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that is one of the payoffs, is to be able to you're holding space for yourself, and then you're able to hold space for others as well.
Yeah.
Which is
definitely made me a better listener, because I'm no longer stuck up here. When someone's talking to me, all I can think about is my own shit still, and I'm not really actually concentrating or being present.
Yeah.
So once I'm sort of feel like I'm a lot clearer here, when someone talks to me, I actually can hear them and become a lot more intuitive too, because I can tune into that person, because I'm not clouded by my own shit as much.
That's so good. That's excellent.
Learning slowly.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you've got. So, what would you say you got from this then? What was your takeaway?
Just reiterating, really, that it's not, like when you hear it from one person, obviously you listen and you practice that. But then when you hear it from multiple people, you actually tend to believe in it more, because it's a well-practiced, well-known thing. Because obviously you speak to one person about something and then you go and speak to somebody else. And if they're throwing you advice that is so different, again, it leaves you like, well, do I believe them or do I believe them? You know, where do I go with this? But when you seem to find that commonness in the healing process, you find yourself believing more in what you're actually being told as well.
Yeah. Good. That's excellent. Thank you for joining.
No, no worries.
And yeah, if you've got any other questions, feel free to send them through. And yeah, Scout, if you've got anything else, I hope that I've answered your question around. Thank you. Yes, you're welcome. I'll just see. Okay, it sounds like we're good to go. Enjoy the rest of your night. See ya.
Have a good night. Bye.
Yeah, you too, James. Bye.